TBCN presents Creating Your Own Job, a new series aimed at providing you with resources and assistance to start your own business. Financial assistance, analyzing the marketplace, marketing strategies, implementing the plan, creating your own job.
Welcome to another edition of Creating Your Own Job, a series that is devoted to helping people who are starting or wanting to expand their businesses learn more from experts in a lot of different areas. Today we're going to be talking about using social media to get business. And I'm Louise Thompson, the Executive Director at Tampa Bay Community Network. And with me today are Missy MacFarlane, welcome. She's the Principal and Account Director of Bayview Public Relations. Glad you could be with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Steve Scott, who's the CEO and Director of Training at Tampa SEO, which you'll explain later, Training Academy, a word we hear all the time. SEO, it's become like a vocabulary word, right? Welcome. And Brett Apter, who's the co-founder of an organization called Get On Social. Welcome to you, Brett.
Thank you.
And Ray Catanese, who is a realtor with Prudential Tropical Realty and works with or is a member of the Tampa Social Media Meetup Group and uses social media quite a lot. So welcome to all of you. I want to first take this opportunity to ask each of you to tell us a little bit about your organizations and what they do. I'll start with you, Missy. We'll go around the clockwise.
I'm Missy MacFarlane with Bayview Public Relations. I'm one of the owners there. I'm a principal and account director. What Bayview Public Relations does is help our clients communicate to the people and organizations that matter most to them. And how we do that is through media relations, helping them get in or out of the news, creating compelling content, which might be for their blog, their website, or one of their newsletters, and also social media, determining what channels are best for them and how they can implement and use it to reach their customers.
I'm glad you mentioned that, get out of the news business. We have a few in there in the last 2 weeks that really need some help getting out. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, my name's Steve Scott. I'm with the Tampa SEO Training Academy. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. I am one of 16 companies around the world that are actually licensed to teach people how to do search engine optimization internet marketing. So I teach a 2-, 3-, and 5-day class certification course here in Tampa, about 6 to 8 weeks, every 6 to 8 weeks or so. And we bring people in, business owners, web designers, developers, other SEO personnel come in, and we teach them how to do this right. So I'm the CEO, Director of Training here in Tampa. I've been doing it now for just over 5 years, and I've been in the SEO business for a little over about 15 years now.
I didn't even know we had SEO that long.
Yeah, we did. In fact, for a long time I had to explain
Did they not
what
call
it
it
was.
something else back
People,
then?
They'd go, what? What's that? And
Yeah.
they're like, oh yeah, I get you ranked at the top of the search engines. And they go, oh, I need you.
Yeah, right. Very good. Brett?
My name is Brett Apter. I'm co-founder of Get On Social. And what we do, we have 3 different divisions. First, we also do search engine optimization. But what I'll probably be talking about today is more of our social media division, where we've developed a software that allows small businesses to essentially post to all their social media to engage their followers simply by replying to an email. And that's really what got us on the map. And then from there, we've grown into a full service social media content writing and counseling, as well as brand management and building company as well.
Ray?
My name is Ray Catanese. I'm a real estate agent with Prudential Tropical Realty in Tampa. I've been a realtor for 10 years. I started a real estate blog 6 years ago when the market crashed. So I am self-employed, a small business owner. I use social media, search engine optimization, and my blog to basically generate leads for my business.
Okay, so now let's get into this. There's so many different, it seems like every day there's a new social media organization or site or something that we all ought to, get on that, hurry up, kind of thing. And I'm not so sure, and I'm sure you probably are not so sure, what's going to last and what isn't. I keep thinking Facebook's going to go down the tubes any minute. But then again, what do I know? Anyway, your views of these different do they break down into different types within social media? Like I know YouTube is a content type where we ourselves, Tampa Bay Community Network has our own channel and we post our videos. But can you talk about the value of these different sites, or what kinds of sites we should understand what they are?
Sure. Before social media really came into the picture, it seemed like there was always a gatekeeper that helped you funnel the information to your customers. It sort of changed the game in the sense that your customers can communicate directly with you through these channels. They can go on Facebook and they can write a complaint, or also write a testimonial of how great your service was or how wonderful your product is. On the flip side, you're on real time, where you're addressing consumer complaints in real time. They can post it on there that they had a 30-minute wait for their meal, or their dinner came out cold, and they expect you to address it right away.
So like all media products, upside and downside, two-edged sword, always. Okay, so why should well, let's start out like this. Why should anybody going into business concern themselves with, let's start with Facebook, having Facebook account? Can you tell me the value of doing that or not? Anybody, Steve?
Sure. Well, I mean, when it comes to Facebook, we've seen the studies really show that Facebook's more for business to consumer. So if you're selling directly to a consumer, you're a restaurant, you're a bar, restaurant, something like that, then you're in a really good place to be there, because you, as you said, you can talk to your customers, you can respond to what's going on, you can kind of do your brand reputation and reputation management. LinkedIn, though, is really a better place to be if you're business to business. That's a sort of a business version of Facebook. And it's not as much, individuals there just sort of talking about what's going on, or, hey, I'm at their local restaurant, but you're talking business to business. So from that standpoint, you want to be there. And, kind of going back to your original question about the different types, you mentioned YouTube being more video platform. Because of bandwidth being the way it is nowadays, it's easier to download videos. I mean, in the early days, we used to wait for graphics to render on the old modems and so on. And now we all have cable and broadband, and we can get access to that. So that's real simple. Facebook, like we mentioned, is for consumer. LinkedIn for the business to business. The Twitter is that microblogging, that right now, what are we doing right now? That's also really big right now. And then you've got things like Pinterest, which is sort of a newer up and coming one. That we're seeing a lot of activity around and so on. Other than that, I don't know that there's going to be too many more that are going to break the sort of records that these seem to be doing.
Those are the top as far as you're concerned.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't know if you guys think different or...
I'm kind of glad you mentioned LinkedIn, because I don't have to listen to somebody tell me about the breakfast they had on LinkedIn. Oh, it might rain today. Good. All right.
Yeah.
Brad, what do you think about that?
I mean,
Facebook
I
and all the
definitely
rest of
second, everything that's been said. I'd say that, Facebook and Twitter are really the two #1 brand checking and word of mouth social media platforms that are out there currently. But what I mean by that is essentially consumers are starting to more and more frequently check those two platforms to see what everyone else is saying. And like the two-edged sword that was addressed, it's really for any strong business that has a strong presence and good customer service. They really should be taking advantage of the Facebook and Twitter specifically, because the word of mouth is the most powerful way of acquiring clients. So, with that, we can go in probably later as to how to build that presence. One other that hasn't been addressed is Google+. That's a new platform that Google essentially, they developed as their biggest competitor with Facebook. Obviously, Google's very threatened by Facebook's growing presence and how quickly they recently IPO'd, and it's been a very interesting space to watch. But Google Plus definitely has some very valuable features. There's a Google Hangout that is really setting Google Plus apart, where business owners or anyone can really meet up online, video chat just like you're in person, and it's a very effective way of business conferencing. As well as Google Plus also is very integrated with the search engine results. So when you're searching for something, and any content that's put on Google Plus, it becomes very visible very quickly.
Tell me how you use this Facebook.
Well, I use Facebook in so many different ways, mainly to publish news stories about the real estate market, since mine is geared towards real estate and is something that really could apply to anybody out there. I use it to announce listings, new listings. So I have right now about 179 fans on my Facebook page. But I also share the information from my Facebook page to my personal page so that I get double exposure. I also use it to gauge the market. By that, what I mean is ask questions to see what people out there, what they think about the real estate market, and then I can use comments that people post as part of my articles for my blog. So there's a lot of different benefits that
You have a
people...
blog as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what is the best way to use, let's start with Facebook, and then we'll go into LinkedIn and these others that you mentioned. What is the best way for, if I'm starting a business and I want to find or keep my present customers engaged, what's the best way to use Facebook? You're by putting in
Asking
real estate
questions.
stories, you're sort of pulling yourself out as a credible source of real estate and knowledge on real estate, right? So are there some kind of, how do I, in other words, I'm trying to engage people, right? Is that my goal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I want them to talk back to me. I don't want to just be out there. What are the tips for doing that the best for our viewers to be able to use? Do you know?
Well, what I would say is essentially the business owner or the individual that's posting and engaging on Facebook as the brand should definitely have the mindset of that target market that they're trying to reach. And it's really, you know, it needs to be just interesting to that target market. It needs to be something that engages them specifically, where they read it and they're like, oh, that's really interesting. I want to share this with my friends or with my network. And when you do that, it can be as simple as posting a link to something related to your business's industry that's interesting and new. And then it's those type of things that can become very viral, because certain people find it, they find it interesting, so they either press like on Facebook, they press like on that post, or they share it with their friends or comment, and then their 500 friends see that. And then out of those 500 friends, you see, maybe another 20 think that's really interesting, I'm going to share or comment. And then from that, it escalates in a spiderweb, spiral effect of going viral, essentially. So it's really just thinking what will be most interesting to them. It doesn't even have to specifically relate to your business, but getting something to go viral that's interesting, as your brand speaking on behalf of that interesting post is really what gets, really stimulates that growth.
Steve?
Well, one of the things that you said several times the word interesting, and I think one of the things that we're looking at that when it comes to just Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, it's got to be about good quality, unique content. What we try to do for our clients and our students, we try to show them or teach them that the blog should be the home base of all the activity on your site. So you're writing good content on your blog about something in the neighborhood or about a particular house or location or whatever, and then you share that on the Facebooks, on the LinkedIns, and you sort of let people know, hey, come check out this content I've got on my site, so that not only may they share it with LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever, but that it's also a part of new content on your site. You become an expert in your field by providing good quality content, unique, interesting information, and this is what Google is targeting as well. So, the social sphere is great for building those relationships, getting that trust, getting that, hey, I'm the expert, but you still need to have your website tied in with that correctly. You've got to make your site shareable as well, so the content on your site can be easily picked up and shared with somebody else.
The blog is on your website,
Yeah,
right?
the blog is a part of your website.
A couple of lessons and webinars I've taken put the website in the center of everything, so you have to drive them back to your website, right?
Yes, and your blog would be on your website. Yeah, exactly. And the blog becomes that source of original, unique content that you put out there, and it could be like Brett said, anything that's interesting to your user base, anything that they may find helpful, unique, interesting. It could, I mean, I've seen people just take a video of somebody else who said something at a conference and put it on their website, and they discuss what was said in the video. But it would be interesting to their users. Also sharing other things that you find interesting also, even if you're not the creator of that content on the social spheres, the people who like you or see you and see that content through your website look at you as the expert because you're the one that's leading them to that information.
I keep wondering about how any of this translates into business. Okay, so, I mean, a lot of people in this town know who I am, but does that make me get more business or not? I get all these people talking about me, 500 friends over here, personal, I got all these things going on. But what in the world is going to bring donations to Speak Up Tampa Bay Public Access Television, Inc., which runs Tampa Bay Community Network, which has lost its funding from government sources? That's our goal. How do I get that to turn into money, whatever it is, whether I'm a nonprofit trying to get donations or one of the viewers who's trying to create some special, I make purses, I do something, I do a personal thing, I have a cleaning service, whatever it is, I sell carpets, real estate. How are we going to get from, okay, go on there, put some interesting things on, maybe have an interesting blog, maybe set yourself up as an expert. How are we going to get from there to ongoing receipt of funds for that, which is my definition of marketing.
To take your artist or jeweler example that you mentioned, say they don't have a storefront yet. They could post on Facebook photos of their new artwork or their new jewelry line and give their community that they're building a heads up. Hey, I'm going to be at this festival, at this booth. Come out and see me if you're interested in any of these pieces. And that way they can directly relate it to, I put it on my network. I had 6 people come out. Out of those 6 people, 2 people bought something, and can kind of also use it as a way to get feedback for some of their products. They're putting up products, and are they getting a lot of comments on a certain style but not another? It can help them drive their product line.
Your take on that?
It's all about the ROI, obviously, when it comes to business. And I think the big thing is the people that aren't doing it, it's more about fear. They're afraid about the ramifications of people talking about them negatively or something. And the problem is that if you're not doing it, people could be talking about you negatively anyway. If you're there, at least, you have more control over it. You have a better shot at responding in a positive way. But when it comes to ROI, it really depends upon what kind of business you're in.
Return on investment, always return on investment,
exactly.
ROI.
Yeah, exactly. And small business who can maybe bring somebody out to a festival or something. Yeah, it's great. But like yourself, how do you get somebody in there, or even for myself to get somebody into a $2,500 week-long training class? It's really difficult to get that return on investment measurement off a social network. But the social does give you that ability to be out in front of people, to let them know that you're there, let them know what you do, to provide information so that when they are ready, or when someone asks them about something that they there's this guy, he's always posting stuff about search engine optimization or social media. You should talk to him. I mean, when Ray walked in the room, she went, "Oh yeah, I met you at a meetup group," and I was like, "Oh." So I run a meetup group in town also, and she had, we had met before, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't even remember." I'm so sorry.
And you're also saying something that is kind of the reverse end of that, which is, if I did meet you, you told me you sold training.
Right.
I'm going to go look for you to see if you have a presence on social media. So you better have one to cement that I should do business with you, or something. Is it correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I got into social media, because I was teaching others. I'm like, well, I can't teach if I don't know what's going on. So I had to get involved, obviously, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago already. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly grown into a much bigger monster than I think we ever expected. I mean, Facebook posts 1 trillion page views a month. 1 trillion page views a month. That's insanity.
Yeah, but I bet, like 92% of them are worthless.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm
just
sorry.
Viewing it.
I don't, there's some good value, and then there's no value at all.
Yeah.
You want to add to that?
Yeah,
right?
just essentially the way we've been viewing it, we've been running a lot of just analytics and just studies on brand conversions and then call to actions, and there are really 2 different values that we've identified with Facebook specifically is one, we work with a lot of e-commerce sites and manufacturers that sell directly on their websites to consumers. And there are two ways that the Facebook presence helps specifically. One is that their customers are definitely going from their site, referencing their Facebook page and the brand presence they have. If there's, they're checking to see if they have a good following, if they're a good, if there's good word of mouth, and then they go back and they purchase. So the conversion rates have definitely been higher as their presence has been becoming more effective and strong. On the other end is the call to action. Specifically with them, as they add new products to their site and to their manufacturing line, they present it on their social media page, and they say, we just added this product line. We're currently offering a discount specifically for our social media followers who are loyal to us. Click here and come and just buy with this special discount. And they've been monitoring these specific conversions. And once you build a presence, you have a captive audience. I mean, people go on every other day. So, according to the statistics, it's 50% of users are on every day. So it's and it's over 850 million users on Facebook now. It's pretty phenomenal, the statistics. But that being said, they have a very captive audience. People that are on there all the time. So if they're putting call to actions for that captive audience, they're going to get a percentage that's on there, and it's a much more cost-effective way of getting conversions and ultimately return on investment than most of the print ads or any other really method of marketing that you try to measure an ROI from.
Ray, do you see yourself getting more interest in the properties you have for sale?
85% of my business comes from being on the first page of Google and having a social media presence. And it has been for about 6 years. Because I started 6 years ago, it's not as difficult for me because I already have authority on search engines. So one thing that I could say is if you're a small business owner and you have not started a blog or gotten on social media, it's urgent that you do it, because the longer that you wait, the more difficult it's going to be. And it's also very important to start doing it the right way from the very beginning, because a lot of people don't really understand how much time, how much effort, and how much knowledge it really takes to be successful. There's, 12 spots on the first page of Google. So if it was that easy, everybody would be on the first page.
So what is your advice for getting started?
You really have to hire a company that has a good reputation, that knows what they're doing. I do most of everything. Exactly. I do most everything myself, but there's certain things that I don't know how to do that are very technical. So I would hire someone to do the programming for me. But if I hadn't been studying this for the past 6 years, I wouldn't know where to start. And I've made mistakes along the way. And
give me an example. So viewer might not make.
When I first started, the industry platform was Blogger, which is owned by Google, and then WordPress came out, which is now the industry standard. And so I started on a platform that I eventually had to switch over to a new platform, which cost time and money. So just little things like that, having the right URL with your keywords in your domain name is very important, and just setting everything up properly so you don't have to go back and fix it.
Where do you get your content ideas?
Well,
racking your brain.
This is the hardest part of having a blog or posting content anywhere on social media. And a lot of people think that it's very difficult, and sometimes it is, but it can be as simple as an answer to a question that your client has. And it's an email. Hey, my contract states this, what can I do to get out of a contract? And then my response to a client's
lose your
email.
job. No.
No, I mean,
I
had,
you
what
won't
happens?
get the mortgage.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or, it could be any question. All your clients are going to have the same questions. And so It doesn't have to be long, 300 to 500 words. If a blog post is too long, people are gonna, their attention span is very minimal. And I also believe in call to actions, like you were saying. I try and link to other articles within my site so that I can keep people on my site longer, and that all, really helps with building trust. Because the longer someone stays on your site, the more that they know you, like you, and trust you, and the better chance you're going to have of getting their contact information, subscribing to your blog, liking your Facebook fan page.
It's funny you mentioned the questions. One of the things we've been doing for clients recently, especially the non-transactional sites, the service-based sites, what we're doing for them is we're putting these little forms on their page. Every single page of the site just says ask the trainer, ask the lawyer, ask the whatever. And it's just for that reason. We're getting emails from people on the site already that have questions, really short and simple. We're not making them go to a form page and fill something out. And when they get that question comes in, we're not responding directly to them in email. We're creating a blog post. We're then taking that blog post, sharing it on Facebook, sharing it on wherever. Sometimes we'll even do like a video, short video of how to do something online and post that on YouTube, transcribe it, write the content out, put it on a blog post. And it's great because it gives you content that your users need. You then send the user a link to your blog post or to your Facebook page where you've got a link to it, and they comment on it and they think that their question was really special, and it builds a lot more loyalty and trust, and it's been a great way to get good, solid new content and keep the ideas flowing without having to work too hard.
You're just triggering in my mind that there must be a list of do's and don'ts, because I know when I get to a site that I think I'm halfway interested in, and I may want to ask a question, some of them have asked me too many questions for me to ask them a question.
Right.
I'm not staying here.
Right.
If you're collecting all this data on me, forget it.
Right.
Bye-bye, I'll go someplace else now. So there's a do's and don'ts about it, right? I mean, you can't really say, okay, ask the lawyer, as you mentioned, and then ask me too many things that are going to turn me off.
Yeah, no, we have three things. We have name, email, phone, and your question. That's it. Anything else, we just want a way to contact you some way, in the future. But anything else other than that, I can call you or email you and get your address and your location and what your needs are and really kind of flesh out. But I want the question. I want it for the content purposes.
Yeah, to kind of add on to that, we've tried to think about the questions or the things that we hear most from our clients. The most frequently asked questions is how we're starting to pull our blog posts. For example, we were doing a lot of groundbreakings or announcements, some ceremonies, where people were asking us, well, what do I say in my speech? Besides introducing, the dignitaries in the room, how do I sound interesting, or how do I keep people engaged? And that was a blog post idea that I'm working on to write that out. But if someone doesn't want to take the time and expense to build a website or doesn't have the technical ability to set up a blog post, they can start doing it on Facebook right away. If they're on Facebook personally, it's fairly easy to set up a page. They can start answering those short questions. You mentioned 300 words for a blog post. Maybe it's 100 words. And have that dialogue back and forth with your customers where you don't have the time and expense of a website right away.
That was great information, Missy, and I want to get back to that and then talk some more about the other social media vehicles. We're going to take a break right now for a public service announcement. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
When I was younger, man, my brother was the one who really took care of me, man.
Is that right?
Hey, he'd wake me up in the morning, get me ready for school, take a shower, make me some breakfast.
Where your brother at now?
Oh, all right. I get lonely, nobody to talk to. I felt like quitting school. He looked at my dad in my eye, he told me, if not for me, do it for him.
Give Josh and our class of 08 the boost they need to graduate. Join us at boostup.org.
Welcome back to Creating Your Own Job. Today we've been talking about using social media to get business for your company or organization. And just to reintroduce, Missy MacFarlane is here, Steve Scott, welcome back to them, Brett Apter and Ray Catanese. And we were all talking about Facebook. Let's talk now a minute about LinkedIn. I must have 80 requests to be friends. I don't know these people. And I'm getting very reluctant, like, I don't know you. Why are you asking me to link in with you? And I guess I'm not as familiar with LinkedIn as I am with Facebook, which is sort of easy. But tell me about LinkedIn, your view, what I should be doing, what we should all be doing.
For LinkedIn, it seems to be a little bit more geared to the business-to-business set. If you're a law firm, a CPA, someone that's going to provide goods or services to a fellow business person, you definitely want to be on LinkedIn. I would suggest that everyone have a presence and set up, it's sort of an online portfolio or online resume at the very basic level. But as you get those connections, to me, it's perfectly appropriate to reply back to someone and say, I'm sorry, I don't remember meeting you. How do you, why would you like to connect with me? Or asking them a question about their good or service. They may have a product that they think is valuable for you and would like to make that connection.
Now, you're saying I could write to them and say, I don't know where I met you, but it doesn't look like that. It looks like I became friends of somebody, or I linked in with someone I knew, and then their connections are interested in linking in with that person's connections or something like that. And the first advice I got is just accept everybody and you'll build this big network. And then I read an article saying people do these fake profiles on LinkedIn and gain too much knowledge about you or something. So I'm just like really reluctant. I don't know what to do.
I haven't heard as much about people creating fake profiles on LinkedIn, but I would agree with creating that network of people that you know and who know you. The downside to it is that someone may contact you and say, hey, I see you're connected to so-and-so. How do you know them? Or could you give me some information? I wanted to apply at that company. Do you know them? And you may be forced to reply that, no, you don't in fact know them, and you're not really that connected to them, but that you could be.
But it would have the appearance if you just keep saying yes to all these connections.
Right.
Are you saying don't say yes to all these connections? And then what do you guys think?
I'm saying it's a personal choice on what you're comfortable with. It's almost as if you got an email from someone you didn't know. It could be spam, or it could be an actual person that has a valuable good or product for you.
Okay.
You can also look at groups. What groups are they a part of, and do they have a mutual connection to you? Do you have mutual friends?
I could check them out that way. That takes so much time.
That's
Ray, did you?
Exactly what I was going to say. To elaborate on that maybe a little bit more is I look at their profile, make sure that they have their profile information filled out, make sure that they have a picture at least, and that they do have some connections. People with 1 or 2 connections are usually spammers. And then...
But you can't see their connections until you link in with them,
No,
right?
you can.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Most of the time, if they make them visible, which I think, yeah, it's pretty standard. And then I look to make sure that we have people in common. If you're set up as an open networker, anybody can contact you. If not, then they have to have your email address to actually send you an invitation.
Well, LinkedIn sends the invitation.
In LinkedIn,
Right.
through LinkedIn.
Right.
So
LinkedIn actually gives you like they'll give you a few passes without having to know
yeah,
They just say, hey, I know them through this. But if you send too many and people refuse your link or your connection, then they require you to put someone's email address in. I'm a big proponent of LinkedIn. I really like LinkedIn from a business-to-business perspective. You find groups of people who are in either Tampa Bay business networks, or you find other salespeople, marketing people who are either in Tampa or just around the country. And you can connect with people that are in in similar roles as you. It also gives a great sales tool as well. I mean, good example, I got a buddy of mine out of work, and so he's an IT guy, and I went to LinkedIn, and I have over 500 connections, actually closing in on 1,000 now. And I typed in, IT recruiter, Tampa, and I got about 400 names that showed up that were people I knew directly or people who knew people I knew directly. And I gave them a list of like the top 50 names. Said, here, call these people. Here's the names of somebody at the company they're with. It's easy to find their phone number. So if you're in sales, for argument's sake, right, you can look for director of this or marketing manager, or you can search for someone's title, get their name, know their company, and then give a call and say, can I speak to Joe Schmo? And it's not a cold call per se. It's more of a lukewarm call. You kind of have a person's name. It gives you an opportunity to be out in front of them that way. And I think it's a great tool for that as well, especially for a new business owner.
Do you accept anybody that?
Not any. I'm very lenient about who I accept. I typically won't accept somebody who's like coming in from India or from Pakistan, and they're they're in SEO business and they're just trying to sell me something or whatever. So I might just ignore them. But if someone happens to be we're part of the same Tampa Bay networking LinkedIn group, or we're a part of this group together, and they know another buddy of mine, sure, then I'll be happy to accept it, because what happens is it's become more the new, kind of a cold call type thing, where years ago you'd get someone's email address and you'd send them an email and you try to get on their email list, but nowadays, who's going to do that? But LinkedIn, you pick up a bunch of business cards at let me ask, right? If I go back to my office later and I connect all you guys on LinkedIn, are you going to say no?
I say yes.
Probably not, And the
That's
reason
true.
is that we can both promote. I can put my stuff out.
And it's
there, you can
easier
put
than
my stuff
remembering
out
what
there.
to do with a business card.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
Is how it was in the old days.
Exactly. It's a different world now, and we're using these tools as relationship builders, as ways to communicate with people, and as ways to kind of see what they're up to and what they do. And then as they move from place to place, you don't lose their number anymore, right? If someone leaves a company, well, they just changed their company, but you're still connected to them personally through LinkedIn, and you just know, oh, okay, they've moved from this place to that place, and they can still stay in touch with everybody. So it's a great vehicle for business to business communications.
Right.
Yeah, one of the main ways that we use LinkedIn is actually for recruiting. We reference anyone that's applying to work with Get On Social. We reference their LinkedIn pages because it's usually one of the only ones that are still public, and it's a good way of just getting a basic information to see if they have, a lot of people that are trying to be hired, should have several recommendations through LinkedIn. It's a good second resume to build their credibility. So we use it in that regard. We also, for any of our business-to-business clients, we've started doing the pay-per-click campaigns that LinkedIn has instituted. And that LinkedIn also has business pages now as well. So you build the business page and then you do pay-per-click ads, specifically reaching out to services that are tailored towards executives or other professionals.
Pay-per-click.
That's correct, yes.
So if I put an ad on LinkedIn, I will pay LinkedIn for each click that someone clicks on my ad and visits my website.
That's correct,
or my
yes.
LinkedIn page. Which one is it?
They would. You can actually choose. Generally, we always opt to have it stay within LinkedIn and go to the LinkedIn page, but you can have it referencing going right to your website as well.
And then from a LinkedIn page, they would get to your
That's
website as well,
correct.
because you need to have that listed too.
Yes.
And on the
Okay.
free side, you can also link your blog to your LinkedIn page,
Right.
so that every time you update your blog, it automatically goes to your LinkedIn page and your network sees what you're up to.
Do you do that with your
Yes,
stuff?
I have everything. My Facebook fan page is a post to my LinkedIn account, my Twitter feed, and my blog posts.
Well, you can't write 300 words on Twitter, so what happens with that?
Whenever I post an article to my blog, the headline of the article gets published to Twitter, and then there's a URL that is short. So there's,
It'll
that
get there
feed
quickly.
gets posted to my LinkedIn profile, and everybody can see that, and then it goes to my blog, the URL, actually.
So there's a background program that's cutting it down in size for you.
Yeah,
that
Twitter
sends it.
automatically shrinks the URL.
Twitter automatically does it, or you need to have a special?
There's several ways to do it. Twitter will automatically do it. I use another program called Hootsuite that allows me to publish to my Facebook personal page, my Facebook fan page, LinkedIn, and Twitter all at the same time. You can also schedule your posts at various times, because a lot of times I'll have fans on my Facebook page that also follow me on Twitter that also subscribe to my blog, and you don't want to inundate people all at the same time.
They're going to get all of the things at one time.
So you want to be, there's a fine line. You don't want to bombard people with too much information.
Right.
Because if they see you all the time, they
So
just
this
get sick of you and they
This
delete
program
you.
will distinguish and not send to
Well,
everybody.
you tell it when you want it to send out, and you schedule it. And
So that it's not all at the same time.
right,
So that this is going to go to Twitter, but not today.
right.
Okay, that can go to Twitter later or
Right.
tomorrow because I've already sent it to my Facebook fan page and my blog
Right,
and blah, blah, and
right.
I don't want to. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then another great way that I use LinkedIn is for referrals. Most of my clients are already on LinkedIn, so after we finish a business transaction, I just ask them for a recommendation. I've got over 30 right now. And so when someone is connected with me on LinkedIn or they see my LinkedIn profile on my blog, they can see all of my past clients' referrals and recommendations. And people call me and they say, wow, you know, we saw that you come highly recommended by your clients and we want to hire you. It makes my job easier because I didn't have to sell them on my services.
Right. If you can get somebody else
It's
to sell
very
you, you're always
important,
better
yeah.
off. Than, Did you want to add something, Missy? It looked like you did.
There's also another section on there called Answers on LinkedIn that anyone can go on and ask a question. So if you're struggling with a business problem or you want to help someone with a business problem, you can click on the Answers section and search for it. So if you're looking for more real estate clients, you might go on there and search the contract problem that you're seeing come up a lot. And that way you have the opportunity to connect and respond directly with other LinkedIn users and use it as a
And they don't
lead
have to be
generation.
linked in with you, in other
Right.
words?
If they want to
Oh,
look
it
at your
just goes
profile.
out broadly?
Right.
Yep. You might have a little bit of two-way exchange, and then they might, connect with you, or they might give you a call and say, hey, you were so helpful online. I wanted to call and thank you, or I wanted to use your service.
Does the LinkedIn presence affect the SEO, the search engine optimization, or not?
Well, it becomes part of your presence on the web. So we don't just have websites anymore. We have a web presence, right? So we've got our website, we've got our Facebook page, we've got our LinkedIn page, we have our Twitter page, we have our meetup groups. We have this presence that we're out there on, and yeah, it can come up. It is public. It's out there. People can look you up. They can look up your company. They can find you in search engine results. They can find you or direct search within LinkedIn. But all of that becomes a part of the potential of you being found in search, as well as because they're trusted, well-known, well-respected sites, them linking back to your existing sites, help build relevancy and authority and trust with the search engines in your site and that you are who you say you are.
Tell me the value now. Can we talk about Twitter? I mean, you got into it a little bit, but what do you folks think? Is it valuable for every single person to get on Twitter, follow the movie stars, or try to get a following, or
It's not as widely used as Facebook. I believe it's about 13% of Americans use Twitter.
Okay.
It seems like that 13% are avid users, the people that are on it every day, multiple times a day, really following, looking for information as a sort of news feed, or having discussions back and forth. Instead of a phone call or a text message, people are holding conversations via Twitter.
It's also good, like you said, you're trying to expand your presence online and so on. Well, for example, what you could do is the first time you air this, you could put a little Twitter hashtag saying, hey, and you're seeing this a lot more on television right now. If you're watching any of the, the America's Got Talents or the American Idols, they all have these little hashtags that they're showing. And so what happens is everybody that's watching that show can basically communicate with one another by putting a little hashtag in anything that they write in Twitter. They add that little word, so TCBN or something, or TBCN. They put that in their Twitter, and now anybody that's watching that show can actually communicate with the control room staff, with yourself, and we're seeing more and more of this happening with the television shows that are airing.
You mean beyond? We use Twitter to tell people about a special
Sure.
show that's on, like this one, when this is going to air.
So what I might wind up
we
doing is, in a situation like this, I might share out to my social network, hey, this show's going to air on so-and-so at this time. I'm going to be tweeting live with you guys, right? So while the show's airing, anybody that's watching it can now tweet along and kind of talk to me. Maybe they want a little bit more information on what was that name of that website, or what was that tool that you used, and then you can communicate while they're watching the show as part of another communication channel. We see it a lot in meeting rooms and big seminars where there might be 100, thousands of people in a room. They'll say, okay, while you're following, do pound whatever, and then as you're in the room, you can tweet with that pound, whatever it is, and anybody in that room can sort of be a part of the communication, be a part of the conversation. And so there's other ways to kind of take Twitter. It's not just about, hey, I'm drinking coffee, or hey, I'm on a show right now. You can really use it to communicate.
Now, the value, how does that translate? I've seen stories about, let's suppose I was following someone who had an enormous following, and I tweeted to them that this show was on. And then they tweeted it to their group. Now that's big time.
Yep.
Because they've got it. So I see that as a valuable way to increase a referral base, or, increase the people watching your show. But how do you see that as part of what you're doing, what you try to do, attract the attention of somebody with a big following already, or is there some other? I mean, this chatting, I guess, is okay if they're all watching the show at the same time, and it gives you more connection, but is there some other great benefit that results in perhaps a greater audience for us on TV, or donations or revenue for a company?
I'll tell you how I use it,
Okay.
and it might correlate to how you might want to use it. I use it several ways, but one of the ways is it's called social media monitoring, and I set up keyword searches related to what I want to monitor. So I've got one set up for Tampa social media. I can see anybody out there who's talking about Tampa social media. I also have one set up for Tampa real estate. So I sort of
Is that on a
stalk
Google
people.
alert, or is that on the Twitter?
You can set it up on Google Alerts as well, but
Yeah.
no, I have it set up through Twitter.
Okay.
And so, for instance, if someone was looking for a realtor in Tampa and they mentioned, hey, does anybody know of a good realtor in Tampa? I check my Twitter stream, and I see that somebody asked that question. I can answer that question and say, yes, I can help you. What can I do for you? And I've actually gotten clients that way. So that's one good way to use Twitter. And if you're trying to raise money or whatever it is that you're trying to do, you can also mention certain people and ask them to retweet your request for a donation. And the more connections that you have on Twitter, the better chance you're going to have of someone retweeting
it,
right, and then it goes
expanding.
to all of their followers, and it creates that viral effect. I've also been found by the news media on Twitter, which is wonderful. You never know who's out there and what they're searching for, and a lot of people use the search function. Also, if someone's talking negative about your business, you want to know that, and you want to monitor your business name. Your personal name is also very important. So I'll give you an example. I sent a gift to my best friend for Christmas, and via UPS, and the box arrived, and it looked like it had been kicked across the room 15 times. It had holes in it. I mean, it looked awful. I took a picture. I was so upset. I took a picture. I posted the picture on Twitter, and I said, thanks, and then I put the @ UPS. This is what my friend's present looked like when it had arrived, okay? Now, within 5 minutes, someone from UPS contacted me, and they said, oops, we're here to help. Would you like to file a claim? Well, my friend had to open up her present 2 weeks early to make sure that there was something actually in the box. But try and get somebody at UPS on the phone, forget it. So large companies are monitoring their Twitter feeds, and I find that it's very useful. If you have a problem and everybody's using it in that way, and if you want a response, boy, that's a good way to get it. So,
I'll say this, I have a Google alert for a long time on my name. The problem is that I probably get 4 or 5 a week on my name, and it's mostly obituary notices. With people with my name, they may have a different first name, but their middle name is, and their last name is Thompson. And I'm like, this is the name, this is one of the top names in the United States of America and probably the United Kingdom. So
Add
most
the word
popular-
Tampa.
Or put a,
Yeah,
or
I
put
would
a
put-
minus obituary or minus
please,
that.
uh,
So
Yeah.
to remove those out
That
of
is
there.
so crazy.
That's just
No.
how you're searching. That's all you
Yeah,
can change
yeah.
that.
Well, I just set up a Google alert.
Right, but
for
in the
that.
Google alert, you can
You
add
gotta
to
put-
it to
I should add
take
those
stuff out.
words. Brett, did you want to add to
Yeah,
this Twitter discussion?
you know, we use it specifically for customer service. A lot of, as it's been mentioned, you know, a lot of the big brands, that it's all, you know, it's a very effective and quick customer service gateway. People contact them with the hashtag, you know, they're just asking, you know, questions about their products or anything like that, and it's a very easy way to just quickly respond to many, many different customers. In the tech community specifically, you know, I know we reference all the companies that we use in various tech, you know, in various ways to see how active they are with their customer service and how quickly they update. Because, you know, with say even just a server, if a server goes down for 10 minutes, you want to know, you know, especially if you're dealing in a space where you need to be live at all times. I mean, you want to know immediately, you know, and their Twitter is a very good way of them notifying. Or, you know, it's important in the tech community specifically. I think people are very active and very, you know, persistent in following what's going on with the specific technology or software that you're using. Because if something happens or they're updating, say with Facebook, you know, we deal with the modifications of their API all of the time. And then there's also with Google, you know, they're not necessarily notifying everyone about their changes with their algorithm, but it's good to follow people that are, you know, that are very active within that community to know exactly what types of, you know, changes, because when you change an API for something that we're dealing with, it directly affects us and how
API stands for?
Automated
What
programming
API
interface.
I think it
I
is.
forget what the A is, but it's
Yeah.
programming interface.
Associated
automatic
Press?
or
No.
automated.
Essentially, what it does is it allows, you know, other development companies to tie in with, you know, it's their plugin to their technology for you to utilize on your end. So
Okay.
for us, we have a software built through Facebook that allows, you know, our software users to instantaneously just reply to an email and instantaneously post onto Facebook. And so it's our gateway towards Facebook, and different APIs allow you to integrate your
And if they
technology.
switch it, you're sunk.
And,
Unless
yeah.
you know what to do.
Yeah, they modify it and they'll notify you, and you just have to, you know, adjust your software or technology accordingly.
Okay, so we're down to the last 5 or 10 minutes, and I just wondered if I could go around, you'd each take a minute and a half or two, to convey do's and don'ts or special advice that we didn't convey so far that you think is very important for people who are going to get started or expand their use of social media in the future to try to generate business and make money from this endeavor at some point or another. I'll start with you, Missy.
My biggest piece of advice would be to jump in, test the waters. You know, you can always back out if you don't like it, but you're never going to know what you're missing unless you try it out. You know, pick one and start there. You know, Ray mentioned she's using all sorts of different channels, but maybe start with Facebook or just Twitter and figure it out, and then move on to the next one once you become comfortable with it.
Okay.
You know, for me, for maybe a brand new business, like Missy said, you need to be there. The biggest thing that I usually tell people is, like, whether or not you're there or not, other people are there, and they're going to be talking about you good and or bad, and you want to be in control of the conversation. You want to be able to respond to the conversation. You want to be able to be, you know, the UPS, for instance, that says, oh man, we didn't want that to happen, and being able to jump into that. If they weren't there, all you've got is an angry consumer and an angry you know, customer on the other side. So it definitely, you need to be there, because if you're not there, you know, you're just losing out.
And with bad press like that, like she provided, as you mentioned earlier, sometimes getting out of the press is important. Bad press has such a great way of snowballing.
Yeah, especially that.
Oh my gosh.
But look how good
Even
it turned out,
better.
though, right? I mean, you
Right.
feel much better about UPS, right? That they did something.
Well, I don't know. I had UPS get in touch with me with a problem last holiday season, but they didn't do anything anyway. I mean, it was more talk. We'll probably get some calls now if they're monitoring TV stations, but I don't know. Brett,
Yeah, what I
kind
would
of
say,
advice do you want to make sure to?
I would just say that, from everything that we've been studying and looking at over the past 6 or 7 years that we've been in this space, social media is here to stay. It's a societal shift. It's not a fad. The statistics are showing this. It's kind of looking at when internet initially evolved, there were people that's like, oh, this is just kind of a fad as well, and it was a very big societal shift, and it's affecting how people interact, how companies interact, and I'm not going to say it's definitely not going to stay where it is now or how we perceive social media, but it is certainly the wave of where we are and the wave of the future, and I think that business owners that do not jump in now and figure it out, they're going to be left behind.
Whether or not it's Facebook.
Whether or not it is Facebook,
Yeah,
yes.
I agree with you with that. Okay, right.
My best advice is if you're thinking about starting out and you don't know where to start, to consult with somebody first. But research the company. There's a lot of companies out there that say that they know social media, and they don't. Look and see how many people are following them on Twitter. Look and find out if they have a Facebook fan page and how many fans they have. Look at their blog. I get emails all the time. Hey, we're the next greatest social media company, and we're providing these services. And then I look at their fan page and their Twitter followers, and they don't exist. But people don't know enough to know what's right and what's wrong. And if they don't already have a following, how are they going to help your business? So do your research and make sure that, if you do decide to hire somebody to help you, that they're a reputable company.
And that you've checked out their references and so
Yes.
forth.
Big time.
Yes.
Yeah. Just before we go, I still felt like asking you, Steve, and that was, what can I do to improve my search engine optimization short of going to your class? Or what do you teach about? What are the most important takeaways from your class?
Well, if I had anything to say about it, I would say there's 3 pillars of search engine optimization now. It used to only be 1, now there's 3. It's kind of like a tripod. And if you fall short on any one of those on those legs, your website, your optimization falls over. You've got your on-site optimization, which is where we figure out what's happening on our webpage. We have our off-site optimization, which is like the referrals and links and how people link back to us. And there's the social media, that buzz, that people talking about us. If you don't have a handle on each of those pieces of the puzzle, your tripod tips over and your website it's not going to go anywhere. You have to have a little bit of all of it nowadays in order to have any real success on the web.
And if I want to learn more about that, I guess I better come down and sign up for your class or
I'd
something.
love it.
I guess so. I really appreciate all of you coming and telling our viewers this great experience that you bring and expertise that you bring to the show and to helping them get started on their businesses. And we hope we see you back here again some other time. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you the next time we have on Creating Your Own Job.